welcome to another episode of Laugh and Be Blessed with your hosts, Jake and Chia Rubadue.
Hello, hello.
This sounds so weird.
Does it?
Yeah, it's because it's just the weird headphones.
Oh.
You know what? I'm going no headphones this week.
Oh, dang.
I don't know what it's going to sound like then, but we're going to try it out. We're going to do it. So go ahead and talk a little bit. Let me make sure it's popping up on you.
Is it popping up on me? Popping down? Popping sideways? Left, right?
I don't see anything at all popping up. Keep talking.
Oh, wait. How about now?
Did you mute your...
I didn't mean to.
Okay. Well, okay, so that's a great way to start this episode. Welcome to Laugh and Be Blessed with one mic. I don't know. This is ridiculous. My brain is fried after this week.
Nice.
Oh my gosh! Like I don't need drugs.
I feel good.
Yeah. How was your week? What'd you do?
I did a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I drove a lot.
I know you did.
Goodness.
Well,
oh my
let's talk
gosh.
about that.
Yeah, so I guess we could start. I'm going to cruise through it as quick as possible because I'm very curious. This week we're going to do something a little different. This week Chia's running the show. I told her that I
mean, not so much.
No, you're running the show, dude. I said that I wanted her to kind of take over this this week's show, and I thought it would be good if we kind of switched back and forth a little bit. Maybe it would like help us to stay on task and like record weekly.
Yeah.
So we're going to see how this goes.
So we missed a week. And now we're doing this.
Yeah, and so now,
We had this idea for last week.
Yeah, but I was barely home last week. It was like very quick. So, let's just get into that. So I've been on the road a lot lately. Me and AJ went on... Anyone who listens to the show knows I'm talking about AJ Wilkerson, obviously. But we've been doing these college shows. AJ booked a bunch of college gigs, and then he is bringing me with him as his opener. And then we're just kind of like splitting the time mostly. Very generous of him. It's been fantastic. But the shows are spread so far out sometimes. Like last week we went to... we had like 2 shows in Pennsylvania. I feel like it was like... No, 1 show in Pennsylvania, 1 show in Virginia, and 1 show in Tennessee. And then we were home for like 2 days, and then back on the road, went back to Pennsylvania, 2 shows in Pennsylvania, 1 show in Virginia, and then 1 show in Vermont. Mm-hmm. And then I'm leaving again in a couple days to go back to Pennsylvania, and then New York, and then South Dakota, and then Montana. And it's like, man, we're just on the road so much.
Yeah.
But some of these shows have been, like, surprisingly fun. Mm-hmm. You always hear people talk about, like, how horrible college gigs are. Like, they'll be like, in the beginning I had to do these horrible college gigs just because of the money. And, I will be honest, some of them are just not great.
Right.
Like, there are definitely times where they just have us, like, in a bookstore somewhere at noon. And it's very weird for everyone that's there. But we make the most of it and do what we can. But then there's also shows, like, we did a show... in Pennsylvania where they open it up to the public.
Oh, okay.
So the whole town showed up pretty much. It was a
nice.
theater, and there was like hundreds of people that was there.
Nice.
And we had a really good time, and those shows are fantastic. But, it's just kind of been, it's just been a gauntlet, like just running through all of them. I mean, we did that show. We woke up in the morning. I think we drove like 7 or 8 hours to Virginia, did that show, turned around and drove another 3 hours north that same night, went to sleep, woke up the next day, and then drove, I think it was like 10 hours to Vermont, did that show, drove 2 hours that same night back south, back down to New York, stayed the night, and then drove like 11 hours home. And
You're making me sleepy just talking about it.
Oh my gosh, it was just like... And again, it's one of those deals where it's like I feel weird complaining about it because it's kind of the dream. Like this is like I'm getting the thing that I wanted. Like Dusty texted me the other day and was just, we were just kind of catching up. We hadn't talked for a while and it was catching up and he was asking me how I was doing. And I told him about all those runs and everything. He's like, yeah, man. That's what sucks. You book these gigs, and then you got to go do them.
Right.
And it's like, yeah. Well, it's almost like...
It's all exciting when you book them, and then you're like, oh, I got to drive.
Yeah, it's almost one of those deals where it's like we just want to book them.
Yeah.
Like, we want you to want us to come.
And for people out there who are like, why don't you just fly? For one, Jake hates to fly.
Yeah, not a fan.
For 2, when you're going from one show, and then you got to go to another, you'd have to rent a car, and that's a whole big mess. And then... you got the anxiety of, is my flight going to leave on time?
Right.
Is it going to be canceled? Oh, the rental place messed up and they don't have any rentals left, and having your own vehicle just makes it, you're more in control.
That's the biggest thing. It's just being in control. Like, I don't know how many times I've talked to people and they're like, dude, I don't know if I can make it to the gig. My flight got canceled or it's delayed. And I'm like, well, I left yesterday. So I'm almost there. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So it's like, there's good and bad things like that. And again, it's a thing to where it's like, I'm not complaining so much. Yeah. It's just, I'm just tired. It's just a lot, but it's not over. There's more coming up. So here's where you can catch me, and I'm probably not going to do all. I'm not wearing headphones right now, so this is off the cuff podcasting. All right, it's what we're doing right now. Hopefully, you guys are into it because we are. So I'm leaving this Tuesday because this Wednesday. Which is September 7th, I will be at Penn State Mont Alto in Mont Alto, Pennsylvania. That is a 12:15 show. Strange, but it is what it is.
12:15, all right.
Yeah, and then I'm going to Cayuga College, New York, in Cayuga, New York, that same night. So that'll be a 7 o'clock show. Those are college gigs, though. Some of them, they open up to the public. I don't know what one, so I'm just going to say where I'm at, and then if you're close by, call and ask. That's the only thing I know to do. But the 9th, September 9th, I'm in Sioux Falls, South Dakota at Boss's Comedy Club. That is 100% open to the public. Not only that, but we are doing a door deal with them. So please buy tickets and come out to that show. If you are anywhere close by Sioux Falls, South Dakota, this is the one to come see us at. Me and AJ Wilkerson, we're going to have so much fun. We are working on new material, and this is going to be like a show that after the college gigs, like, we're stoked to do.
Nice.
So
exciting.
That's September 9th. September 10th, I'm in Glasgow, Montana. So, and that'll be the end of like a long run for us. Then I'm back home for a few days, but then on the 14th, September 14th, I'm at Lebowski's in Washington, Iowa. So that is the 14th at Lebowski's. The 15th, I am at Northeast Iowa College and then Kirkwood College that same day. So the 15th, I'll be at both those places. And then the 16th, back at Lebowski's. So, again, Washington, Iowa, Lebowski's. I'm really excited to be at that place. I've heard really good things about it. So pretty stoked about that. And then let's see. I think that's all I'm really doing in September. I actually canceled a couple of gigs just to kind of be home a couple extra days. So I think that's all I'm going to do in September. And then I get a couple weeks home.
Nice.
Which
I'm
is
excited
needed.
about that.
Man, I missed you guys so much.
We really missed you. The kids kept asking when you were going to be home.
Yeah, I feel like a truck driver without the benefits. You know what I mean? Like I have no insurance.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
driving your own vehicle.
Driving my own vehicle, all that nonsense. But that's what's been going on with shows. Let's talk about what we've been watching.
All right.
You want to start there?
Yeah, I kept a list this time.
I'm so proud of you.
Last time we talked, we left one big thing out. We watched Jurassic World Dominion.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought that up because I do want to talk to you about it because I feel like we had two completely different feelings about this movie.
I agree.
And that's rare. Usually we're on the same page. So how did you feel?
I liked it. Yeah. It's a Jurassic movie. I love all of them. Was not my favorite though. So out of all the Jurassics there are,
out of all the Jurassic,
Jurassic Park is my absolute favorite because I was like 5 when this movie came out. Everyone, okay? I'm just gonna put that out there. So I remember, very small memory, but I do remember when the trailer came out. My little mind trying to figure out how they got the dinosaurs for the movie.
You know, you say that like a joke, but legit, most people, even adults,
it was
most
wild.
People felt the same way. Like, how is this even possible?
And then,
but that's the thing is like, a younger generation doesn't understand. We didn't have anything like that. Like, the closest thing we had to something that looked that realistic was, like, the Ninja Turtles movie.
Yeah.
You know, and it's like, and at one scene, you can see the dude's eyes in the mouth.
Yeah. Like, so it blew 5-year-old me's mind. Like, and not like, oh, this is so cool. Like, I was perplexed, and I could not figure it out.
That's a word, babe. I would define that for me.
Perplexed, like confused and puzzled. Now, look it up. See what the synonyms are for it.
I don't even know how to spell it, dude.
P-E...
I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Now I'm really curious to see how on the nose I got. Perplexed.
Well, it's just that's a weird word, I feel like.
I don't feel like it's a weird word.
Completely baffled. Very puzzled. So, I mean, that's close enough.
Did you look at the synonym? You didn't look at the synonyms.
At the what?
Synonyms.
Synonyms?
Synonyms.
Synonyms? Our internet's being weird right now.
Sure.
No, I swear to God.
Okay.
It really is. It keeps like going in and out on the computer too.
But my second favorite would have to be the first Jurassic World movie because it was like, oh, the park opened. This is what we always wanted.
Right.
So in the Jurassic World movies, to me, nothing can top that feeling I got when me and you went to the theaters without our children because it was our childhood dream, not theirs.
I know.
We went.
We're such fun parents.
And it was,
we're like,
God, it was such a good feeling.
Didn't we go, that was IMAX too, right?
I don't remember.
I feel like that was one of the IMAX ones.
But now what was your feelings on it?
So, I'm with you. The first Jurassic Park movie is my favorite. Mm-hmm. But again, it's like a feels thing.
Yeah.
But the pacing of the movie, everything, Jeff Goldblum, Chef Kiss, come on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Amazing. And I love him. Yes. I love Jeff Goldblum so much. He's amazing. So, like, that's my favorite one. And then I like all of them. But then, like, yeah, I was with you. Jurassic World was, like, super fun. It was a different take on it. It was the same but different, and I did like it. But this new one is my second favorite movie now.
It's because Jeff Goldblum's in it.
He's back in it.
So how come the third one doesn't line up there?
Because the third one's not that good of a movie.
It is.
It's
a
fine.
Good movie.
No, the reason I liked the new one is because I liked...
I'm wrong. Second one. He's in the second one. Yeah.
Well, I liked it because... It was like I felt it was such a good blend of the old and new. Mm-hmm. That was for me. But like I'm the minority in this. Most people I've talked to didn't care for it that much.
I liked it, but not
it was
like
fantastic.
you did.
I had so much fun. I cried.
You're like, that's my favorite. I was like, what?
I was going to watch it again.
Right after?
Right after.
Dang.
I was into it. So I'm a yes man on that.
All right.
What was the other one?
So we are completely caught up as of right now on The Witcher. Season 3 doesn't come out until next year, I think, and I am digging it.
So I take back everything that I said before about how it was slow and everything. It did what we talked about that it was probably going to do, and it pulled all the stories together. I thought that was really, really good. So yeah, I mean, I think one of the things I like the most about that is like, and I don't remember if we talked about this before, but the old Hercules and Xena and stuff like that. I loved that, but it was still very fake feeling, like the dialogue and everything. The dialogue in The Witcher is like, that's how we would talk if we were in... Yeah,
like the sarcasm, the cuss words,
and the
eye rolls, the way they like look at people like you're dumb when they do something
I dig
dumb.
It so much.
Now, maybe a little bit of a spoiler if you haven't watched it yet, so, check out for just a minute.
We do our best not to spoil, but...
So, there is love stories within this.
Yeah.
But the main love story is not your typical love story.
Right.
And I am here for it.
Yeah. You are so weird, though, dude. You're so weird about... Because, like, your ideal love story is, like... semi-abusive love.
No. That's not the main love story. You're thinking about romantic love only.
I get you. I see what you're saying now. Okay.
It is not a romantic love.
It is cool to see a dude like start changing the way he feels about a specific thing. Yeah, yes. I get what you're saying now. Yeah. Okay,
so I don't want to spoil it too much, but I know there's a lot of people out there that like action fantasy, but they always hate when romance comes in. They feel like it ruins it. There is some romantic,
yeah, but it's not like
stuff
overtaking.
In there, but the main love story is not a romance story.
Right. Yeah.
And it is it gives you all the feels, and it's so great.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah. So Witcher, A+.
Yes. We have completely caught up, and as of right now, we're pretty sure this series is finished. Lock and Key. Holy cow. It took me a while to get caught up with Jake, and the new season came out, so he waited for me. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We watched half of it before he went on the road, and then we finished the other half last night. So good. Like, it is such a cool show. Again, another love story I absolutely love. Not romantic love, though.
Yeah.
Which I'll say what this is, because you can figure it out pretty quickly. It is a family love.
Yeah.
And
all coming together.
So cool. And the thing I love most about this is the way the siblings interact. Every show you watch, especially from the era we grew up, I don't know what it was about the 90s and older siblings hating their younger siblings for some reason.
Yeah.
They always were like they loved them, but they were always like kind of pushing them around and stuff like this. The way the siblings act in this, the older siblings, remind me of the older brother in the Goonies, how he acted towards his brother.
Yeah, because it's like they kind of like, it's like a little bit of like annoyance, like, okay, but there's so much love behind it. Like, I'm still going to take care of him.
And I'm going to take care of him. I'm not going to leave him out of everything and stuff like that.
Who was the older brother in the Goonies?
I really can't remember.
Josh Brolin.
I know, but that's why I wanted to say I don't know what his character name was.
Oh, crap. I could have told you. It's Bran.
Bran, yes.
Yeah, I was like, Andy, Mikey? I was going through all of them.
So good. We watched another series. It was really great, really interesting until the end. I hated the end.
Dude,
Now, take a minute to listen. The title of this is The Woman in the House Across the Street from the Girl in the Window.
Right. Now, huge spoilers. Just a heads up, we're going to spoil this whole show for you because we're going to talk about it. So if you do not want to hear what happens in this show, this is your warning. Spoiler warning, skip ahead because we are going... There's no way for us to talk about this without us venting our frustration with how irritated we were. Okay, let's start by saying this. I loved the acting.
Oh, yeah.
And the story, like, really, I love a good mystery.
Oh, and it was...
Very mysterious.
It had you guessing the entire time. Now, Jake made a guess early on in the show, and he ended up being right. Which would have been cool, but the way...
Okay, now here's my issue with it. So, again, spoilers.
Yes.
If you don't know anything about the show, it is about a woman who is dealing with grief. She lost her daughter, and her and her husband split up after it. And she's really dealing with grief. She becomes an alcoholic, and she is like not agoraphobic, but she can't be out in the rain because it was raining the day her daughter died. Yeah. So in the beginning, she talks about how like she is also a liar. Like the first episode, she talks about how she just makes stuff up.
She starts off, it's, why can I not think of the actress's name?
Kristen Bell.
It's Kristen Bell. And she starts off in a British accent. We're like, this is weird. And she's like, then she says she's a liar in a normal American accent. And she's like, I'm not even British. And we're like, okay.
Like it started off kind of fun.
Yeah.
But I said right from the beginning, because these people move in next door, and basically like a murder happens. And I said, I bet the little kid next door did it.
Yeah.
I was like, I think the kid is the killer because there's just something about the kid. Mm-hmm. Well, then they started throwing all these red herrings out like, oh, well, what if it's this or what if it's that? Mm-hmm. And there was too many of them, I feel like.
And they were all plausible.
All of them were. But then at the end of it, the last episode, whenever they try to wrap it all up, it's like they try to show why it wasn't all these other people that they were, but they try to make you think it was the other people so much that it lost momentum. Mm-hmm. It was like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like there was a dude that was working on the mailbox every single day
for like 3 years.
And it's like, that makes zero sense. And like, I don't care like how nice you're being. What? Like the dude's just out there every day fixing a mailbox?
Yeah.
Like that.
Like if someone needs work to do, you have them finish that job and give them another job.
I don't know. That thing that irritated me. So there was a lot of like irritating things. But then at the very end of it, it was like this weird thing where it turns out it was the kid, but it was like almost like you would think, so I was thinking maybe something like the Bad Seed type of deal or something where she's just a sociopath or a psychotic.
Yeah. But it's almost like she was possessed.
But wasn't.
Yes.
Yeah, it was just very unreal. But the fight scene, the fight scene is hilarious. Between a grown adult fighting a kid. But it was very
scary movie. It was
so
scary
campy.
movie.
Yes, and the whole series was so serious.
Yes,
up until the very last moment. And then it's like, if the whole show was like that, it would have been fine. But the fact that they were like, it's almost like they fired their director.
Or the writer.
And then brought in like a new director and then he was just like, you know what? I'm high.
Let's just go with it.
We're going to do something different.
And then after all that, it shows her life. And then you sit there and wonder the whole time, is this really happening?
Yeah.
Or did she make this up in her head because she has delusions and hallucinations?
Yeah, dude.
So you really don't know.
It sucked.
So
it had so much potential and it sucked.
That was just a one series thing.
Yeah, I don't want to watch any more of it.
If it does have another series, it better explain a whole lot in that first episode.
I don't think it will. There's no way. I don't think so.
So here's a show that I have not watched, but you did, The Flight Attendant.
Yeah, and so The Flight Attendant, I thought, did the murder mystery thing in a way better way. Because it also, there was a lot of like losing your mind and hallucinations and stuff like that was going on in that show. But it all made sense and it all came together. Like, it just felt better. And the first season I felt like wrapped up beautifully, and then the second season like took a little bit of a spin on it and then gave like a new direction for the second season. I thought it was a great show.
Yeah,
I really enjoyed it.
So you're caught up on where that
yeah. And
okay.
I don't know if they're going to do any more or not.
Yeah,
but I thought it was fun. If you like murder mystery stuff, like it's a good one.
Maybe that's something I'll work on this week while you're gone, because I don't have a show to work on.
Yeah.
So we rewatched Planet Terror.
Oh, okay. When we first watched Planet Terror, we watched it in the theater. Like we went to the theaters and it was the double feature of
Grindhouse.
So it was Death Proof and Planet Terror. And when we watched it, I loved Death Proof.
Yeah.
But like I'm a Kurt Russell guy.
Yeah.
So like I didn't even care that much about Planet Terror. I don't even remember really watching it that much. But also I can't remember if I was still smoking or drinking back then. I don't know.
No,
I wasn't. I don't know.
You
I don't
were
really
newly sober.
Okay, so I was still messed up.
Yeah.
So I don't really remember a lot of it, and I haven't watched Planet Terror since then.
Yeah, I haven't either.
I've watched Death Proof quite a few times, but not Planet Terror. So we rewatched it the other night. And my God, is it a great movie?
It is ridiculous.
I loved that movie.
It is so
it was everything
ridiculous.
Dude, it was everything I wanted. When he's on that like pocket rocket. He's on that little pocket rocket.
And he's like riding it so serious.
He's
like,
doing wheelies and like he's just like shooting zombies and everything off of it. Oh my God. Like, but that's the thing. Is like they legit took like what they did what they wanted, because it was a throwback to those old exploitation films from back in the
Grindhouse films.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That where they would take like one thing like there was always like some sort of like over or like some sexual feel to it, but then also like very gory monsters and stuff like that, with like a ridiculous storyline that was so far-fetched and like it felt like one of those dime books that I read, just a ridiculous storyline that for some reason is so satisfying. Like watching that movie, at the end of it, I felt like I didn't feel like, sometimes we watch a movie and it's like you feel like, oh, okay, we did it, I feel completed. I felt nothing at the end of that but joy, and that's what I wanted. I did feel
joy.
Yeah, like that's
my favorite
that's
part
what they were going
is,
for.
So the main female character, she gets her leg amputated, and he takes her out of the hospital the day of.
Yeah.
Okay. There is a metal rod, as if they put it in there when they amputated her leg. Heads up, that doesn't happen. So being a nurse and working with this patient population,
it was
I'm like, okay. Well, it did turn out important because he ended up fixing a machine gun.
Yeah.
To the end of
After he put a peg leg on.
Right.
He broke a leg off a table and shoved that onto her leg.
Right.
Just shoved it on there.
Where this metal rod was sticking out. So we're like, well, it makes
the part where she's like, he's leaving in the tow truck and he's making her like run beside the truck to jump in, and her legs like dragging.
The peg leg.
Yeah, the peg leg, but also she's dressed like so sexy and everything.
Yes.
And, oh my God, like it was so beautiful. I'm not kidding. Like, I thought that was a masterpiece. They did exactly what they wanted to do.
And Bruce Willis is in it.
Bruce Willis is in it.
Yeah.
It's just, oh my gosh, it was so fantastic. Josh Brolin is in it.
Yeah, he is.
And he plays a psycho.
Yeah. We talk about him a lot tonight.
I mean, big fan.
All right.
Big fan.
So, with keeping up with stuff, we've already talked about this show, but we'll probably continue to talk about it. House of the Dragon. Actually, I don't think we have talked about it.
No, we've not talked about it yet.
Haven't.
So we've watched the first 2 episodes.
Yeah. We'll watch the third tonight.
In my opinion, I think it's good. It's not as good as Game of Thrones.
No, and not yet anyways.
Well, but the Game of Thrones is good from get-go. Like, episode 1, that show grabbed you. But they don't have to do it the same way that Game of Thrones...
I don't think it didn't. It took me a while to get into Game of Thrones, remember?
Right, but like episode 1 don't they kill Ned Stark in the first episode?
No, first season, not the first episode.
Oh, maybe that's what I was thinking.
He doesn't. Yeah. He's at Winterfell the first one.
Oh, yeah, you're
Jesus
right. Spoiler
Christ,
alert,
Jake.
by the way. Spoiler alert for Game of Thrones. Come on, guys.
Yeah. No, the first episode is very much like you're seeing everyone's different story going on. It's kind of like The Witcher, how The Witcher starts.
I mean, I guess. It's been so long since I've watched the first episode, I don't really remember.
Well, see, you didn't prep like I did. I prepped.
I am enjoying it. I think it's fun.
Oh, I love it.
But I don't know if I would like it as much if we weren't already in the Game of Thrones world. Like, if we didn't already have... But that... Is
really awesome.
But is that a good thing? Like, they already did the world building. They don't have to do that, so they don't have to spend time doing that, so they can focus on the stories a little bit more.
That's true, because we're not... As of Game of Thrones, it started off, you gotta get a glimpse into each one of these people's story, where it's not really doing that.
Right.
And you get a really, really focus on the Targaryens.
And Matt Smith.
Yeah. Oh, not the character I thought he was going to be.
Also, like... This may sound bad to say, but Matt Smith is like a very unattractive person.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that in like a mean way. It's just his features are strange to me. He's almost like an elf. Like just a real life elf. But somehow he's pleasant to look at. It's his charisma or something. I don't get it. Like, I've talked about this before. My favorite role that he's done, other than Doctor Who, was he played Charles Manson on Charlie's Girls, and killed it. Like, he did such a good job as Manson that I was like, oh my gosh, this guy's a phenomenal actor, and he's killing it in this. Like, he's a completely different character than you would even imagine that Matt Smith would be playing. He is such a good actor. Like, it's making me so happy watching him do what he's doing in this show. If he was not in the show, I don't know if I'd like it.
So most people are going to know Matt Smith as the Doctor
from Doctor Who.
Doctor Who, one of the many Doctors, and he is
the 11th Doctor.
Fun.
Right?
I don't know what.
Yeah, I think it was the 11th.
But he is fun and delightful and kind of kooky, and he's my absolute favorite. Yeah. And so finding out he was going to be a Targaryen, I was like, ooh, what's he going to be like? Not that.
Yeah, very serious and brooding and strong and
dark.
Dark, very dark.
Not his hair, because he's a Targaryen, but dark.
Yeah, so, I mean, it's fun. I'm just kind of curious to see, like, where they go with it. Mm-hmm. I'm worried because I feel like just based off what we've seen, I can fall out of this show very easily so far.
You think so?
I do. I could really see me just falling out of the show and just being
I'm not going to, so.
Oh, I know.
Don't make me go on without you.
No.
So going on to our next show, where this season just started. There's only 2 episodes out of, I think this is the 3rd season. We are only half an episode in because we got tired last night, but it is...
No. We watched the whole episode.
Did we?
We started the 2nd episode.
Oh, okay. It's C.
Yeah, this show's great.
SEE.
Yeah.
So we started watching this earlier this year, right? On Apple TV. It stars Jason Momoa.
Yeah.
And the premise of the show is it is an apocalyptic show.
Which means I'm in.
Yeah. And everyone is blind. Everyone's blind. there were people who could still see at one point, but they were considered witches and they got rid of them. Well, obviously, there's still people now in this world who can see, but they hide it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil too much.
No, I don't want to spoil any of this show because I feel like the marketing is so bad on this show. So many people don't even know about it. You have to watch this show.
This is one of the most incredible post-apocalyptic things I've ever seen in my life.
You know what it reminds me of? It gives me the same feeling, and it's way different. Like, it's not the same at all. But remember how much we loved Terra Nova?
Oh, I love Terra Nova.
And then they canceled it.
Yeah.
One season, and that was all we got, and then they canceled it. It gives me, like, the same, like, I love this show.
Not the same feel.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not comparing them. I don't feel like they're the same. It just, I don't know why I brought it up. I just want to bring up Terra Nova.
Okay, Terra Nova.
Yeah,
look it up.
Terra Nova is Jurassic Park and Sea put together.
Oh God. Okay, it is.
I told you.
It's so good.
Yeah.
Maybe we can start talking about Terra Nova a lot, and they'll bring back, or at least give us a movie like they did with Firefly.
Our podcast is not big enough to do that.
Yeah, but maybe we're gonna reach one person who is big enough to be like, hey, just give us a movie, wrap it up.
It was fun.
I mean, at least Firefly did that with Serenity.
Yeah, but I don't want to talk about that.
Okay.
That makes me sad.
So, anyways, one thing I love about C is, because all these people are blind, watching how they all communicate and do things, because we can see that with a blind person on such a small scale, and they have to completely adapt to what people can see. Mm-hmm. Whereas in this, everything is obviously catered to those who are blind.
Right.
So seeing people kind of have to figure that out. One thing I will say is there's no written words.
Yeah, they read with knots and ropes.
With knots and ropes. And it's just so cool to think how mankind would adapt no matter what. Yeah. You would figure out a way to do things.
But that was such fun writing to me.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever they started reading just by ropes, I was like, that's so smart. That was such a interesting way for somebody to be like, what would it be like? And then just put that down. Mm-hmm. I think that this is a great show. I think that this show needs more people need to talk about this show.
We need to keep it going.
And more people need to CC.
CC. Okay. Another show we started, again, this is a brand new show. It just started. It's only 2 episodes in. We watched both of them. The Rings of Power, the Lord of the Rings show on Amazon.
Yeah, and this show's getting very bad reviews from what I hear, but I also heard that it could possibly be trolls, just hardcore fanboys.
It would have to be, because but that's the kind of frustrating thing is, I have read the trilogy, I've read The Hobbit, I have watched all of Lord of the Rings movies and all the Hobbit movies. I dig this. I think dig seeing the early days.
I think it's fun. I think it's a little slow for me right now, which seems to be a theme.
I feel like it goes right with the books.
Well, that's the issue.
Yeah,
with the books, but
no,
it's definitely worth. If you like Lord of the Rings, The Hobbit, and all that stuff, definitely check it out.
Yes,
I mean, it's worth it. The acting's great. It's beautiful scenery, of course. Why wouldn't it be? Mm-hmm. And it is cool to see what the the dwarves' kingdom looked like before. You know? So that's pretty fun.
Yes, I'm gonna jump down a few and I'll go back to these two. American Horror Stories. We just got caught up with that. It's okay.
I think, it's one of those shows to where anthologies are some of my favorite TV shows because I like that, you could watch an episode and just be like, I don't know. And then the next episode, you're like, that was so fun. That was so fantastic. And they're just fun, bite-sized little stories. Mm-hmm. I really like that. And I think American Horror Stories is doing a good job with that. Mm-hmm. The issue is every third one is good.
So, for those of you who don't keep up with the series or anything, there is a series called American Horror Story. It's an anthology. Every season is different.
Right.
But now, in between when we get those new seasons, we get American Horror Stories.
Which is every episode.
Each episode, I think the very first time, the first 2 episodes were the same story. But after that, every episode is a different story. And he's right. Sometimes we get great ones. Other times, not so great. The last one we watched was
dumb. It was so stupid.
Quite strange and stupid.
It was so stupid. But the thing is, again, that's anthologies. Like I
and
read,
someone else
I like
could have
reading
totally
anthology
dug that.
books, and like some of them are some of the fun. Like, excuse me, some of them are just so much fun, and then other ones it's just like, okay, that was a waste of 15 pages. Like that was ridiculous. Yeah. So it's just, I mean, I think it's fun. It's exciting that they're doing something like this. I love seeing anthology shows come out. I try to watch most of them. Black Mirror was hit or miss with me.
Yeah.
And then it started to get a little too miss to where I just kind of fell out of it. But like Creep Show. I mean, almost every episode of Creep Show on the Shudder channel was great. I loved all of those. Yeah. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to keep going and see what they do with it.
I have rewatched Scream 1 through 3. I will probably watch 4 and 2022 again sometime this year. The one thing that I haven't watched that I've heard it's not great, but because I'm a big Scream fan, I want to watch the show.
Yeah, I think you still need to watch it. I watched the first maybe 3 or 4 episodes.
Yeah.
And it's not horrible. It's just not Scream.
I love that our daughter is so into Scream. We just went shopping the other day. Me and her, we had a fantastic time. I'll talk more about that in a little bit, but we went to Hot Topic and she got some Scream socks and a like Ghostface Killer socks and Ghostface Killer t-shirt, and she looks pretty rad, so I was really proud of her. The last thing we want to talk about is what awful parents we are, and we had our kids watch Dodgeball. Now this would have been fine, however some of our children were allowed to one time repeat some of the lines, and now they feel like they're awesome.
Yeah.
So
sorry.
But it was fun. They loved it.
Definitely a movie for the times.
I watched I watched The Ringer with them the other day too, and same.
Yeah, it's just like some of the stuff that they say, I'm just like, I could do without you saying that word multiple times.
It's like, well, calm down a little bit. Yeah. But
I want to throw this out, something that I watched. I've watched a bunch of documentaries while I've been on the road. It's just like that's kind of my go-to thing. A lot of times I'll put a documentary on my phone and just listen to it while I'm driving. Because the nice thing about that is that it's almost all narrative, so you don't have to actually watch it. You're just listening to it. So I rewatched In Search of Darkness 1 and 2 again.
Nice. I love whenever he does this when we're on road trips, because while he's listening, I get to watch it.
Yeah.
So I love it.
And then they have a new one called In Search of Tomorrow, and they had like a Kickstarter thing that I got on and paid for it, and then also just went ahead and paid for the Blu-rays for In Search of Darkness 1 and 2. So those should be here this week sometime.
In Search of Tomorrow, what's that?
In Search of Tomorrow is the same as In Search of Darkness, which if you haven't heard me talk about it, I bring it up like every 3rd or 4th episode. It is the greatest documentary I've ever seen. It is about 80s horror movies, and they do it in such a fantastic way. They talk to writers.
Is it about just 80s horror movies or all horror movies?
I mean, they dip into some other things, but it's like they pretty much start at 1980 and go all the way through at 1989. Okay. And they talk about just all the different movies, the special effects, the writing that went behind them, how influential they were. But I mean, there's a little bit of 70s in there too, because they do talk about, like Halloween and stuff like that. But it's just, there's something about the way that they put this together.
It's very cool.
It's not like any other documentary that I've seen. However, I've been watching other documentary shows now that's about like horror movies and stuff, and I'm seeing that like this is the trend now, the way that they're setting it up and the way that they're doing it, and I'm here for it. Like I love the way that they do it, the way that they're like Joe Dante's in all of them and stuff. Joe Dante from Gremlins, and it's just like watching these people talk about
Kane Hodder.
Kane Hodder's in a lot of them, yeah. But then they also talk to people like Corey Taylor from Slipknot and like Chris Jericho.
Like people who are big fans.
Just big fans.
That influence, maybe their music or something like that.
Oh my God, it's just so great. But they go through, they'll be like, all right, 1980. And then they go through all the movies in 1980 that were like big movies. And it was, and I mean, this documentary is like 6 hours long. And there's so many great movies from the 80s that they had to do a part 2 that's also 4 hours long. And now I just seen yesterday, part 3's coming.
Yes. So maybe we'll get into the 90s.
I really hope so. So I think they're doing a kick. There's supposed to be they sent me an email, and there's like a Kickstarter campaign I think that they're going to start pretty soon. So day one that Kickstarter starts, I'm dropping money on it.
Nice.
So anyways, In Search of Tomorrow is like that, but it's for science fiction. And it is...
I haven't got to see this
I
one
like
yet.
it a lot, but it's not the horror movie. So there's a lot of crossover, with like aliens and stuff like that. I figured. And I do love it a lot, but it's just there's something about the horror movies that I'm just like, oh my gosh, I'm just so into. And then I watched I think it's History of Horrors or something like that, or Horror Histories with Eli Roth. And that's an actual TV show, and there's multiple episodes where every episode is like, one will be zombies, one will be witches, one will be, psychics, and he talks about like movies that have to do with that stuff. And it reminds me of In Search of Tomorrow, or In Search of Darkness, because, and I don't know which came first, to be honest. I think In Search of Darkness, but I don't know for sure. But like Rob Zombie's in it, and like all these people where he interviews them and talks to them. It's just, for somebody who loves movies as much as we do, and 80s, I've talked about it before, like when my Aunt Kathy used to babysit me, like she would put on 80s horror movies. And so when I'm like 4 years old, I'm watching like, Friday the 13th and stuff like that. And it scared the crap out of me. And I'm not going to act like it was a great thing for her to do. But at the same time, like, I have this weird nostalgia for it, the same as I do for Super Mario Brothers. Right. Like, I just freaking love these movies so much. Yeah. And there's so many that I missed that now watching an 80s horror movie with like practical effects and everything that I've never seen makes me feel like I remember watching that, even though I've never seen it before. Well, and
In Search of Darkness, like, almost gives you like a checklist.
Yes.
Like you could watch just a section on 1980 and then stop and be like, all right, I'm going to watch all those movies they just mentioned. And then I'll keep going. And we've watched a lot of the crazy movies we've talked about on here is because of that.
Yeah,
We're like, wait, what's that? Or The Stuff. I think The Stuff was on there.
Definitely on there. Yeah. So I've been watching a lot of documentaries about that stuff, but then it made me want to like, it's funny, like we talk about this whole thing like where we're like molded together, like because when I came home and I was telling you like, oh, I've been watching this, and you're like, I was thinking like I want to go through and watch all the classic horror movies.
I do.
Like we have the Universal Monster movies.
Yeah, we have like a case, like a box set.
And I want to start with those and then just kind of start working. But I was thinking on the way home, like, oh man, I want to do like Werewolf Wednesdays and like Monster Mondays and like stuff like that whenever I'm home. And then you were like thinking the same thing whenever I got home, like, oh, I want to do this. And I was like, yes, that's what I want too.
Yes.
So today I watched An American Werewolf in London. That was one that I didn't watch growing up. For whatever, I remember watching American Werewolf in Paris, and for some reason I kept getting those two confused. And then I remember watching, what's the werewolf movie with Jack Nicholson? I can't remember what it's called. If it's just called like...
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called. Anyways, I always get them confused. So we watched An American Werewolf in London a while back, and I feel like that was the first time I watched it all the way through. That's one of the greatest werewolf movies ever made. I mean, it is so good. Rick Baker does the practical effects in that movie, and it is insane how they did that in like 1981.
Yeah.
Like, it's insane the effects that they came up with in like 1981.
It is called Wolf with Jack Nicholson. That's all it's called.
Yeah, so I kind of get like all those like meshed together for some reason. But I watched it today, and one thing that like really made me appreciate this movie is that it's like 55 minutes in before he turns into a werewolf. You have a werewolf at the beginning, and then you have like a lot of nightmare scenarios throughout the movie, but it's an hour in almost before like stuff happens, and then you only have like 20 minutes to where it's like a werewolf movie. The rest of it is a dude dealing with grief and dealing with trauma and dealing with being in a completely new place and not knowing anyone, and then a love story is thrown in there too, and like a good one. I feel like the way that they did all of it, and then you have a werewolf, and it's like, okay, like this is amazing. Like the way that they did all of this is so well done. I want to say that's a Joe Dante movie again. I let me look it up real quick because I might be wrong, but I just watching it today, it was one of those where I felt like I could not walk. It's John Landis. Oh. John Landis did that, but I think the other one that came out, I think it was in like 1980, was the Joe Dante one. So The Howling. Yeah, 1981 was The Howling.
Okay. So, see, and that's what we've started to watch that movie, and we've not finished it. I don't know if you've ever finished it, but I have never watched all that movie, and that's supposed to be like one that needs to be on your
it's the other
list.
One. It's like those two, The Howling and American Werewolf in London, are like the two that people always go with. But there's something about a werewolf movie. Mm-hmm. Like, I like vampire movies and monster movies and all that, but there's something about a werewolf movie. It's
to
like
me,
the beast.
That's how it is with vampire movies.
But see, like, to me, it's just, I don't know, it's this thing. I think it's like this fear that men have, like, we have this beast inside of us or something that we can't control. Mm-hmm. And it's like trying to be in control of this thing that's living inside of us, and at any moment it can rip through and become, we just become completely unhinged and wreak havoc.
Maybe that's why I like vampire movies, because I'm a blood-sucking fiend. I don't know.
Fiend is another weird word.
Why?
I don't know, dude. What? Okay, cranny.
Do I not?
Here's a weird word, cranny.
A cranny. A nook and a cranny.
Okay, yeah, I've heard nook and cranny a lot. Yeah. When do you see a cranny?
Once it's like crammed up into a nook.
Right. So a nook and cranny always goes. I've seen a nook.
So speaking of weird words, then, do you want to know, like, whenever I walk in a patient's room and they're like in a weird position in the bed where they need help getting in a more comfortable position, but they can't, they're not very mobile, you know? You want to know what I tell them?
What?
Oh, let me get you straightened up. You're all cattywampus in the bed.
Cattywampus, catty corner. Those are just weird words, dude.
You just don't like me using big words.
Cattywampus? That sounds like something that Monty Python made up. It's not a big word. That's not even a real word.
Cattywampus?
Cattywampus is not a real word.
I'm not the only one who says cattywampus.
Cattywampus sounds like something whenever you're walking through the fields of New Zealand somewhere and you're going to get bit by a cattywampus. Be careful, the cattywampus is going to get you.
All right.
I'm done with what I was talking about.
I think we're done then on what we've been watching.
Is that it?
Yeah. I kept a pretty good list.
Okay.
I'll try to keep up with that. So we'll move on to what we have been reading.
Before we get there, I do want to say this. I would like for people listening to this to please watch In Search of Darkness. Yeah. Let us know what you think about it. And let us know, honestly, let us know.
Where can they find it?
You can find it on Amazon Prime, and it's on the Shudder channel.
On Shudder. So Shudder is an extra channel.
Yeah, but I think
it's like $4.99.
I feel like you might be able to watch it without that, at least part one. I'm not 100% on that, though.
Search it up.
Yeah, search it up. And go to Jake and Chia Rubel's Blessed Ones on Facebook and let us know, like, what's your favorite 80s horror movie? Mm-hmm. I'm just into it.
Yeah.
I always will be. And plus, it's the season.
Mm-hmm. Ooh, it's spooky season.
It is spooky season. It's time. So we're going to get into it. And this October, we are actually going to do a full episode.
Yes.
We're going to do one full episode that will be geared towards, like, we'll probably do, like, these are the best werewolf movies. These like top 10 werewolf movies, top 10 vampire movies, stuff like that.
That's
like,
not what I thought you were going to say.
What'd you thought?
I thought you were going to say we were going to watch a movie and do commentary.
I think I've actually been thinking about that. I think we might do that for our Patreon.
Okay.
I think that we're going to do a commentary on a movie on Patreon. We're going to let our Patreon subscribers actually vote on which horror movie they want us to watch and do commentary on, and then we'll do like a live Discord while we watch it. So we might, I think that's the way to do it.
Okay, sounds good.
So if you want to be a part of that, patreon.com/laughandbeblessed. You should probably jump in now so that way you can get in on it. And then, because I'll probably start the voting in the next week or two.
Yeah, like and subscribe.
Yep. Okay. We've already done that episode.
So what we've been reading?
I've read Zilch. Honestly, I've not. Take that back. I've been reading my Tales from the Crypt
graphic novel. Okay.
Just a little bit, though. I just didn't take any books with me on the road because I'm just too much driving. I can't read. Even at night, like, by the time that I hit that bed, I'm falling asleep.
Yeah. Okay. Well, last time we talked, I think I was at 58 books. I'm only at 59. Only completed one more book. But hopefully by the end of this book, I'll have completed 3. I'm finally really, really listening to Meddling Kids. It's been on my list forever. It took me a while to get into it. But now I'm really liking it. A big reveal just happened, so it's pretty cool. So I'll probably be done with that one in the next few days. I'm halfway through The Tyrant's Tomb, which is the 4th book in the Trials of Apollo books. And it's going pretty good. I like these books. No, they're not my typical fantasy books. There's no spice. They're for children. But that's what I love about reading is you're never too old to read these books.
Yeah.
And then I am halfway through Prince Lestat and the Realms of Atlantis. This is the second to last book of the Vampire Chronicles. So after this, I will start reading the last book, and then unfortunately there will be no more because we lost our dear Anne Rice, and it's very, very sad.
Yeah, rest in power.
Yes, I like that. And then after, I will also start reading here pretty soon the 3rd book in the Sandman series, the graphic novel series.
Yeah, I gotta read that. I know.
You're
I gotta read
behind.
it because I want to watch the show.
Yeah, I don't want to watch the show until I finish it, and I think there's 10 books, so
yeah,
I really got to get into it. So, you want to do some mental health check-in?
Actually, I wanted to do what we've been playing.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so I'm going to start with this. I just recently got a PSP and PlayStation Vita. So the PSP is a PlayStation Portable. I got that and a Vita because I'm on the road a lot and I wanted a handheld.
I thought it was called a PlayStation Player.
No, PlayStation Portable.
Huh. I always thought that last P was Player.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
And so I got because the Switch is fine to take on the road, but it's too big. I just don't really care to play it that much while traveling. But the Vita's and PSP are like the perfect size to play. So,
a little bigger than a Game Boy.
Yeah. So I got those. I've been playing a little bit. Like I played some Tony Hawk on the PSP. The PSP was more to get to just like, I didn't have one in the collection and I just wanted one. And it has like weird cartridges. It's discs, but it's a UMD, which is supposed to be Universal Media disc. And Sony thought that was going to be like the next big thing, like it was going to take over for CDs. Totally didn't. PSP is the only thing that plays it. However, because of that, there's tons of movies and TV shows and games that you can get on it, and no one collects them. Mm-hmm. So I've been picking up, like I have got like Clerks and Dogma and Snatch, all brand new in the wrap for like under $10.
Nice.
So I've been picking those up a little bit, but the Vita has been so much fun, and I just got it. And the cool thing about the Vita is the games are still kind of expensive for it, and PlayStation's not really supporting it anymore, so there's no new games coming out. Every now and then there's ports like that fans will make games for it that'll come out. That's kind of cool. But the main reason I wanted it is because you can use it as a second screen. So like I can turn on my PS4, put a game in, and then screen share it basically to my Vita, and then play that game on the Vita while we watch TV. Mm-hmm. That's been great. But the game that I've been playing the most on it is a golfing game. I've never played a golf game, really.
It's so crazy.
Yeah, but it's just so relaxing. But the game I wanted to talk about the most was that I just beat Last of Us. That is one of the, like, if you would watch me play that game.
And that's on PlayStation?
Yeah, okay. You would have loved it. It's such a great story. It's like a zombie story. Okay. But it's so great. It's mostly about, like, you would dig it because it's like the same kind of relationship. It's like a father-son or father-daughter type relationship that this guy's, like, building. He, like, lost his daughter, and now he's got, like, this new kid that he's trying to take care of, and he's like pushing her away for a while. It's just so heartfelt. It's such a beautiful story. I loved it so much, and HBO's making a TV show about it. That's why I played through it. Okay. So I just finished playing through the first one. I'm going to start the second one pretty soon. That has been a ton of fun. So there's some other games I've been playing, but like those are the main ones that I just kind of wanted to talk about real quick.
I have not played anything. And you were supposed to put out a thing where people could vote on the next game we were supposed to play. You didn't.
I know. The board game thing. Yeah, that's my bad.
But,
well, also, no one ever actually says anything on...
Yeah.
I'll say stuff and then no one ever comments or no one ever says anything.
Get on there. Talk to us a little bit.
Let us know you're listening at least.
We do care.
Do we?
We do. I care.
Okay.
All right. Mental health?
Mental health check-in.
Let's start with you.
Not good.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. It's been really good for a while. It's just because the last 2 weeks have been just hell. I mean, just being on the road so much, being away from you guys, it's just... It's finding that balance between this is the thing I want. I wanted this job. I wanted this career. I wanted to do this. And then I got it. And it's, in the beginning, you have to take every opportunity you get. Like, you just don't have a choice. It's just like, doesn't matter what it is. I'm doing that show. I'm doing that show. I'm doing that show. And now I'm to the point to where I have to start balancing it out. Like, I just looked at my calendar and I really can't add that many more shows for the rest of the year.
Right.
Like I told you, like I might try to add like maybe 4 more shows, if that, just because I got to be home. Like I'm just missing you guys so much. Well, I always
say at your very heart, you're a family man. I mean, that's your number one thing. So being away from your family, doing the thing you love, is taking you away from your ultimate love. So
well, and there's other things like being in the car for like 13 hours a day.
Oh, so it's not the family.
No, you're absolutely right. But it's like also my nutrition.
Yeah.
Like I'm in the car for 13 hours a day. We don't have time to really stop and get good food. And then now that I'm gluten free, I have to pick and choose what I can eat that's going to make me feel good. So I'm living off of like
beef jerky
and gluten-free chips. Like, and then every now and then we'll stop at like, a good gas station, like Sheetz or something where they have, like an actual kitchen in there. And then I can order, a good burger without a bun and all the fixings on it and everything and eat that. And that at least helps. But it's just, it's just finding that balance. I'm in a position now where I just have to find the balance between the thing that I want and the thing that I have to continue to work hard towards. And also, like, the family. But, also, we talk about this a lot. At my heart, I'm a writer.
Yeah.
Like, I want to write more. And I've not been able to because I'm focusing so much on just getting through these things that I can't write. So, and that was half the reason we built this studio was to record podcasts. And so I could have a dedicated place to write. And I haven't been able to finish it because I'm on the road and I'm doing things. So
maybe you'll be able to get to a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of the plan. But, again, it's like I'm not doing horrible. It's just understanding where I'm at, understanding my own limitations, understanding that, this is a thing that I want, but like, let's pump the brakes a little bit, literally.
Yeah.
And figure it out.
Yeah.
And just like, I've turned down a lot of gigs lately. Because they sound good, and it's like, hey, I can't do that, but hit me up, at the beginning of the year, and once I'm starting to plan next year. Give me a month or two, and then reach back out to me. So trying to figure that out, just trying to find that balance, has been difficult. But it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
But it's still.
Yeah, you got to find a balance.
The reason that I went into this career is because what I was doing before, the path I was on before, made me so depressed and suicidal that I just had to make a huge change. So I can't let this become that thing.
Right.
Like it has to be like, there was a reason for me to do this, so I have to be smart about it.
Yeah.
It's not all about the money.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, what about you? How you doing?
So you being away has been hard, but I have found a way to stay busy and I don't dwell on it too much. So in the past probably 3 weeks, I have been happier than I have been in a really, really long time. I've been happy or I've been content, but not just, I don't know, I felt such a peace and a calm. So I made this change with work and that helped. And then I started having a set schedule. So I work every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then I've been going in for about 4 hours on Friday. So I work Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then on Thursdays, because I'm a night shifter, after I take the kids to school, I stay up all day long. And I take some time for myself, and I get the house clean and organized. I go pick up the kids after school, and then I go to sleep early that evening. And the other 3 days that I'm off, I have now reset. And I have been able to stay more organized, more on top of things. And like I said, even those days that I'm off and you're gone, I can stay busy, which really, Thursday, I'm so exhausted. By the time I go to sleep, I just pass out.
Yeah.
And then the past 2 Fridays, all I have to do is get everything done during the day. I go into work for 4 hours. By the time I get home and showered and settled, you're home.
Yeah.
So it's been really nice. And then, I've had these past 2 weekends with you. I know you're going to leave again on Tuesday. That's going to be hard. But then I know I get you for a little while after that, and you leave again, and then I'll get you for like a whole 2 weeks.
Yeah, well, and that goes back to like me spacing things out and like just being understood, like that, because I know it's been hard on the kids too. So it's like, okay, well, I'll be home for a week or two, and then I'm going to be gone for just like 4 days this time, stuff like that.
And then, but it's really been helping with my mental health, and it appears to be helping the kids too.
Yeah,
everything's been a lot calmer and more organized. I have so many doom boxes around the bedroom that I have consistently cleared out, and I just focus on one little section every day. I might not clean that entire section, but I'm like, hey, just, throw a few things away or put a few things in a designated spot instead of this random bag that's by my bed.
Right.
And then because of that, today I did something that I normally do not like to do, and I had so much fun. I needed to... we haven't done back to school shopping for the kids. So I needed to do that today. They've been back in school for 4 weeks now. So, yesterday. So my youngest went to a football game with my mother-in-law, to my nephew's football game. And then,
your mother-in-law.
Or my mom. Sorry. Your mother-in-law. My mom.
Weird.
And then my oldest son, he does not care for shopping or anything, which I don't either. I hate shopping. So it was just me and my daughter, and we went to one store, and she helped me pick out clothes for the boys, and then we went to the mall. Really hate going to the mall. I usually hate...
and I think we've talked about this before, she's the worst one to go shopping.
Well, that's what I was getting ready to say. She has buyer's remorse. She gets stressed out. I'm like, just pick something out. I'm exhausted. Me and her had a blast. We had so much fun. Anytime she did start to get like that, I was like, hey, babe, I'm going to try to do this again next month because we have 3 kids. I don't have a ton of money to buy them all. I had a certain amount for each kid.
But I think it's cool.
And so she was like, oh, okay. I said, so just get it, and then we'll come back next month and you can get more stuff.
Yeah.
And she was happy and so excited. And I said, this is why it's important you guys are understanding when I do go in on Fridays for 4 hours or something like that, because I want to be able to do these things. And she's like, yeah, that makes sense. When we had lunch together, and she was so funny. She was like, yeah, we won't even have to spend that much money because everyone's not here. She said, unless we, decide to pig out. And we laughed about that. We got pizza in the food court. And then somebody got an alert on his phone from the bank and texted me and said, hey, can you go get me some gluten-free pizza while you guys are out? And I showed it to her, and she was like, and I was like, and I told her why. And she goes, well, I guess we will have to spend the money. I said, yeah, because now we have to take the boys something too. Yeah. We could have had lunch and told nobody, but it was fun.
It makes me so happy that you had that time with her, because I know that for the last couple of years, you felt distant from her.
Yeah.
It's been a real problem for you. You don't know how to connect with her. You're like, I don't know what I'm doing. And, my thing is, I'm like, just try to find something, because, like, Jasmine's so much like me that we just connect. Like, we're bonded anyways.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, she can come in and talk to me about stuff that, like, shows that we like. It's like that show I Think You Should Leave is a great example of that. Of, like, we have our own little things that we say that we know is going to make each other laugh. And I know it's been hard on you because you're like, I don't have that with her. I don't have the thing with her.
Right.
But you being like, oh, she's she needs one-on-one time.
Yeah.
Like, that's how she works. And then you figuring that out the other day, like, oh, we can actually have a great time together if I just carve out one-on-one time with her. And I think that's one thing that we've actually failed as parents is that one-on-one time with the kids.
Yeah,
and
we're not good about that.
Multiple things over the years to try to figure it out, like how we're going to make it work, like one-on-one, because it's not easy with 3 kids.
No.
It's figuring out, like, okay, well, what's the thing that we're going to do with this one?
Well, it's hard because especially when you don't leave the house. So I could be like, all right, I'm going to watch this TV show with Lex.
Yeah.
And then tell Jasmine and Holden they can't come in the bedroom. Like,
Roman.
or Jasmine and Roman. Yeah. Like, you can't do that.
Right.
You can't be like, it's our club.
But I think
no kids allowed but us.
And I do that sometimes where it'll be like, all right, well, this is mine and Roman's game night.
Right.
Tomorrow is your night, and stuff like that. But that's whenever I'm not on the road. So I'm home a lot more with them. So it made me so happy yesterday seeing the text I was getting from you guys and the phone calls. It made me very happy.
Yeah.
So good. I'm glad you're doing good.
Very good. All right, you ready for some tots?
You know what? Tot it up.
Tot it up. So I had seen this
just so everyone knows, she is running this episode. I have no idea what she's about to talk about.
Okay. So I kind of seen just a little short thing of this on Facebook, so I looked it up, and we won't go over all of them, but these are the 50 jobs that no longer exist.
So jobs that did not pay.
Well, there's no need for them. All right. So the first one, leech collector.
Leech collector.
Leech collector. So in the mid-1800s, when medical professionals believed that blood...
Oh, so was this like the people that go and get the leeches for the doctors?
Yes.
And sell them to the doctors?
Yeah. So believed that bloodletting could cure an illness or disease. Leech collectors were responsible for retrieving the blood-sucking insects from their natural... Are they insects?
Okay, so dude, this is going to make me sad.
Why?
Because those dudes are out of a job.
From their natural habitat for doctors to use. People with this job would use the legs of animals or even their own legs to attract leeches from rivers and creeks.
Creepy.
And then eventually medical research advanced and this profession became obsolete. That makes you sad?
I mean, it just, because you got to think, like, what if there was like the Leech family, like that's what they did. Like that's their last name was Leech. Like that's all they did. They were the leeches, and like their job was that's what they did, dude. They loved it. They passed it down from generation to generation. It was something they all learned. It was in their DNA. And then one day the doctor was like,
in their blood.
"We don't need to do that." Yeah, it was in their blood. A doctor was just like, "We don't need you anymore," and they had to figure out another thing to do, and they started cults.
The leech cults.
Yeah.
All right. A knocker-upper.
A knocker-upper?
A knocker-upper. What do you think a knocker-upper was?
Dude, okay, so I'm having deja vu of another episode that we've done, but it was like weird jobs.
It might have been on this.
So that was the people that went around knocking on doors to wake people up.
Yeah.
It was on it was on that episode.
Before there was the alarm clock, there was a human alarm clock. People would hire knocker-uppers to tap on glass of their window with a long pole or shoot peas at the glass to wake them up.
Yep. We talked about this.
The job eventually fell to the wayside when the mechanical alarm clock was invented in 1847.
I wonder how many crossovers we're going to have.
I don't know.
If you've not listened to that episode, go back and listen to the Weird Jobs episode.
Scissors grinder.
Scissors grinder?
Yeah.
Like someone who just makes scissors?
Scissors grinders would sharpen scissors, knives, or other tools using an abrasive wheel and would often go door to door performing the service. The practice became obsolete by the 1970s because most people found it easier and cheaper to buy new tools instead of sharpening their old ones.
I would almost be into a dude just showing up and be like, "Can I sharpen all your knives today?" And be like, "Yes, absolutely. Can you please do that for me?" And the lawnmower blades. Just come around, sharpen everything.
Today, some people, now I've never heard this, but now if I do, I'll know where it comes from. Today, some people refer to cicadas as scissor grinders because of the similar sound they produce.
Never heard anyone
I've
say
never
that,
heard that either.
I don't think anyone ever says that. That's a lie. That's clickbait.
That's clickbait. I don't think so.
That's clickbait. They're like, cicadas, people are really into that, right? And it's like, yeah, a while ago.
A resurrectionist.
Resurrectionist?
Uh-huh.
Okay. Let's see. Resurrectionist. I'm assuming it has to do with a dead body.
Kind of.
It kind of has to do with a dead body?
Well, yeah, it does have to do with the dead body, but...
Okay. What is it?
So as modern medical science grew into a true profession in the 18th century, so too did demand for corpses. Medical students and practices... So, yeah, it's totally about dead bodies.
I was going to say, yeah, corpses is a dead body.
Medical
that,
students
right?
and practicing anatomists needed bodies to dissect to learn the inner workings of the human body. Resurrectionists were all too happy to oblige, digging up freshly buried bodies and delivering them for a fee, of course, to medical colleges and doctors' offices.
Did they have to, go to the family to get permission?
I don't know. It doesn't say it.
Or were they just, grave robbers?
I don't know.
I feel like they'd have to get permission. But, what a weird job to go up. If that's what you had to do, you have to go knock on a door and just be like, listen, I know Teresa just died. Okay? But I'll give you $50 if you let me go dig her up real quick. And then they go sell her for $200. That's $150 profit.
A tosher. Or tosher.
A tosher?
Yeah.
No clue.
So during the Victorian era in London, people called toshers. It's Toshers. So tosher, right?
Sure.
Would make a living by breaking into the city's sewage system and searching for coins, scraps of metal, pieces of bone.
That's not a job.
Or anything else they could find that was of value. Toshers earned what is today about $50, which would put them at the same level as the working class. Entering into sewers became illegal in 1840.
Okay, hold on a second. That's not a job, dude. That is someone picking up trash.
That's like someone turning in scrap metal. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the equivalent of a dude with a metal detector on a beach. That's all that is.
Breaker boy.
Could you imagine being like, what do you do for a living? I'm a tosher.
I'm a tosher.
It's just like you're tossing around poop. That's what you're doing.
Maybe that's why it was called that.
Yeah, you're tossers.
Breaker boy.
Am I guessing?
Oh, I thought maybe.
I don't know what happened. I thought you fell asleep. A breaker boy?
A breaker boy.
Okay. Anything to do with electricity?
Nope.
Okay. Anything to do with breaking lug nuts?
No.
Okay.
Okay. A breaker boy was a young coal miner who was tasked with separating impurities from coal. The breaker boys were often as young as 5 years old and would work up to 10 hours a day and 6 days a week.
Jeez,
the work was extremely dangerous, and many children lost fingers or limbs in factory machinery. A member of the National Child Labor Committee took photographs of breaker boys, which prompted the public to demand that labor laws be reformed.
Bro, you gotta know that at least one of those kids, he was 9 years old. His name was Alan, or just a man's name. You never meet a child named Paul, really. You know what I mean? You don't meet little kids named Alan.
Alan.
And you know that
maybe they'll bring him back.
Oh, he's 9 years old, and he's just smoking, and he's coming home, and he's just had a hard day in the mine, and he's like, "Ma, what's for dinner? It's me, Paul. I've been in the coal mines all dang day, Ma. I need me some peanut butter and jellies."
Maybe they didn't have peanut butter and jelly then.
That's his voice is the point.
They probably had butter bread.
Dude, Grandpa used to make me, when Grandpa Rubel would babysit, he would make me the same lunch every time. And it was one piece of bread with a bunch of butter on it and sugar on the butter, and then he would just fold it over, and it was butter and sugar sandwiches.
Was it good?
Well, he had diabetes eventually.
But was it good?
It was so good. It was so good. And now I can't have gluten or dairy. Thanks
Grandpa. A morologist.
Oh, no, that's easy. A morologist was the guy that would, he would go around and diagnose people with being morons. So the dad from the Goldbergs was a morologist.
I like that. Moron! In ancient Egypt and Mediterranean cultures, morologists, or professional mourners, were women who were hired by families to grieve the loss of relatives and lament the death of a loved one.
Dude, how messed up is that? So where you're just like, listen, I miss Grandpa Rubel. Those were delicious butter and sugar sandwiches. But I just don't want to cry. So if you could just come over here and cry in a corner for the next 3 or 4 days, I'll feel better.
Well, it says the neurologist would also guard the body before it was buried and instruct mourners throughout the grieving process.
Okay, so now this is where you cry with your mouth open.
Ooh, I know what this is. A castrato.
Castrato?
Castrato.
Like Eric Castrato.
I don't
That's Eric Castrato.
So. When women were banned from performing in the theater in the 16th century, young boys would undergo castration before puberty to create an adult voice that was more powerful and could reach more higher notes. The castrati were all the rage and extremely popular in Italian opera and often reached celebrity status. However, the practice was both illegal and inhumane and thankfully died out.
Oh, dude, put me in the mines.
So,
I would rather be the kid in the mine.
I've talked about this before, I think, but my very first Anne Rice book, my aunt gave it to me. It was called Cry to Heaven, and it was about the castrati.
Gotcha.
But there's also a lot of things in there that a 12-year-old probably shouldn't read,
Yeah,
but
sure.
I did.
Yeah. No, that sucks. I'm glad that's not in practice anymore.
Let's see. Billy Boy.
Billy Boy?
Billy Boy. Okay.
To have anything to do with cops?
I don't think so.
Okay.
I haven't read a lot of these. So.
Oh, that's fun.
Billy Boys were young men charged with making tea for men working at building sites, blacksmiths, and railway yards. During break time, the Billy Boys, who were considered apprentices, would light a fire and boil water in billy cans in order to make tea. Billy Boys often also performed other odd jobs like delivering messages or running errands. So that probably died out whenever the coal mines were like, hey, no more kids working.
Yeah, and they're just like, well, what about Billy?
I just make tea, dude.
Yeah. No more Paul, but we'll keep Billy.
Let's do one more. Let's see. Well, you probably can figure this one out, but I'll read it. Rat catcher.
I mean, I would assume that's someone who catches rats.
In London, starting in the Victorian...
They still have that. They're just called pest control. That's a job still to this day.
In the Victorian era, the city was infested with rats, which were known by then as carriers of disease.
They still are. They just hide them better.
To solve the problem, many young people, including children, became rat catchers and preferred this job to chimney sweeping or working in coal mines. Rats were either captured alive and sold as house pets or poisoned in an effort to eradicate them from the streets. That job does still exist.
Okay, dude, have you ever seen a real rat? I'm not talking about Okay, so when I was in Atlanta, I think it was the first real rat I've ever seen, and it was outside of Popeye's Chicken.
Really?
Dude, they're huge.
Ew.
Like, so big.
Like, compare them, like, are they bigger than Alice?
It's like some of them, yeah.
Nuh-uh.
It's like a big.
Alice is our cat, Alice Cooper.
They're like squirrels. Like they're like bigger than squirrels. Like a good sized squirrel, that's a rat.
That's
and
insane.
And they can get like really, really big. Let me read a couple of them.
Okay, well, let me read one more because I like the word.
Okay.
Soda jerk.
Oh, I know what that is.
Yeah.
That was someone that ran like a fountain drink.
Yeah.
Yeah, they would make like sodas for you and everything. It was a bartender for Pop.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's all that was.
Okay.
All right, let me read a couple. I want you to guess now.
Okay.
Plague doctor, obviously we know what that is.
Yeah.
Water carrier.
How is that not a job anymore? What? Read that.
In the 14th century, as the bubonic plague took hold and rapidly spread, plague doctors were hired by villages to treat infected people. The plague doctors invented masks to protect themselves from the contagious air, and many carried a wooden cane so they could examine patients. Okay, so like...
That's an infectious disease doctor.
Yeah, but I think that they probably like evolved into that. You know what I mean?
I guess. So that was like the first one? Would have to be.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna try to say this word.
There's a few I passed up because I couldn't say them.
Physionomist.
Let me look at it. Physiogenomist?
Yeah, physiogenomist. Do you know what that would be?
No.
In the early 1900s, Geonomy was a popular theory that was based on the idea that you could discern a person's personality or character from their physical appearance.
Oh.
We should bring that back. Like, there's a lot of times...
We do that at RBF.
Yeah. That dude's a douche.
Yeah.
That guy right there, yeah.
An F-boy? We do that.
Yeah. So they base their principles on racist ideals.
Oh, no, let's not bring
it back, actually. Like,
let's read the whole thing before we make decisions.
Yeah. We are not advocating. We are so sorry. That's not at all what we should be doing. They believe that traditional features of Western Europeans represented sincerity, and features associated with other races could represented like deceit, and mostly, and I'm not going to read the wording here because it's very anti-Semitic.
Oh.
But it's basically saying that if you had any Jewish features that you were deceitful. So that was just like a racist dude just walked around and was just like, no, he's white. Yeah, that's a good guy over there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, let's not bring that job back. I'm glad that one's gone.
What do you think a pin setter is?
Someone who sets pins?
Okay, elaborate.
I don't know, I don't know.
Bowling alleys.
Oh.
Yeah, pin setter.
Well, I guess someone had to do it before the machine did.
Yeah, of course.
Why don't you just make the bowlers go do it themselves?
Because you don't want to walk all the way down there.
Like, you're done with the game, go down there, set them up.
Nah, that's too much walking. Plus, you can't walk because there's, like, grease on the lane and everything. I mean, you'd have to have, like, a walkway in between it. I don't know. What about a herb strewer?
I don't know.
In the 16th and 17th centuries, royal families would employ a herb strewer whose job would be to cover up odors both outdoors and indoors using fresh herbs. However, when sewage systems and plumbing became more advanced and controlled and perfumes were invented, the job was no longer needed. So basically they were just like, yo, it smells like crap in here. We've been crapping in this bucket for like 3 months now. Could you do me a favor and just put some paprika on it?
Paprika.
What about a mud clerk?
Oh, a mud clerk?
A mud clerk. I like you asking me, but this is funner to me.
Someone who just sells like a bunch of mud that you can make bricks out of.
Mud clerks were apprentices on steamboats and were in charge of making bank landings when steamboats would get stuck in the mud. The profession was common during the American Civil War period. Mud clerks would also be charged with all-around menial tasks to upkeep steamboats. So basically it's like they were the people that, like, if you got too close to the land or something, they would have, like, the poles and stuff and be, like, pushing the boat away, I guess, is what I'm taking from that. Gong farmer.
A gong? Like G-O-N-G?
G-O-N-G, gong farmer.
Did you farm those?
Yeah, did you not know that you planted gongs, actually? Yeah, you get little gong seeds.
Gong seeds?
Yeah, little gong seeds, and then they...
I'm going to start a gong farm.
No,
I'm not going to say that because last time I said we should bring something back, it turned out very bad. So I'm not gonna, I don't know what this is.
Well, let's see. Until the end of the 19th century, gong farmers would be hired to dig out all the feces from a house's privy and bring it to a dump to be repurposed as fertilizer or building materials. Gong farmers would only work at night, face the prospect of diseases, and were sometimes required to live far away from the rest of the village and town. It's just like, dude, you come clean my crap up, but, like, don't live next door to me.
Yeah.
All right, you read a couple more to me.
Okay.
What, gong farmer? I'm going to start referring to the bathroom as the gong.
The gong? Why is it called that?
Who knows, dude?
Okay. Crossing sweeper.
Crossing sweeper?
Yeah.
Is that like someone who sweeps the sidewalks or something?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah.
Would that be like back in the day whenever like everything was real muddy and everything and you would just be like cleaning like the mud and everything off like the sidewalks?
Kind of.
Okay.
Okay, in the 19th century when streets were frequently dirty, littered, and filled with sewage,
What is up with all our history is crap.
That's why when we got modern plumbing, it sounds all like a lot of jobs.
Yeah, everybody thinks that indoor plumbing's so good, but think of all the jobs that people lost, guys.
People would
Every time you flush that toilet, think of how many jobs that cost.
People would hire crossing sweepers to sweep a path ahead of pedestrians as they walked down the street. Wealthy citizens would readily pay sweepers to protect their long skirts or articles of clothing and to prevent contact with manure.
How entitled. Hey, let's hire that young boy to walk in front of us and just drop rose petals on the ground as we walk.
So a crossing sweeper was considered one step above a beggar. Many people took up the profession because starting the business would cost nothing more than a broom.
Wow, dude. Could you imagine being the first dude that did that?
Yeah.
Just like ran up to someone who was just like, hey, you're going to step in some poop, but if you pay me a little, I'm going to move it out of the way for you.
Yeah.
And she's like, yeah, sure. Can I just follow you around all day?
It sounds like the same concept, just this isn't as gross as like people who run up to your car
and wash your window.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking, yeah.
Stone eater.
Stone eater?
A stone eater.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen...
A rock biter?
I've seen never-ending stories.
In the Georgian and Victorian areas, people called stone eaters would travel around and swallow pebbles and stones to the amazement of crowds. Visitors were even encouraged to bring their own stones to exhibits.
Oh my gosh.
For stone eaters to swallow. Yeah. However, newspapers frequently denounced stone eating as a sham and people began to see through the practice.
What do you mean a sham? He didn't even eat that rock. He spit it out. He's squirreling it. He's squirreling it away in his cheeks.
This will make you think of The Office. Nomenclator.
Okay.
In ancient Rome, a nomenclator would be hired to announce the names of guests or people to their master.
Nice.
Roman politicians especially took up the practice of employing nomenclators and would have them whisper the names of people as they approached during a political rally to make the politician appear personal and acknowledgeable. I do. I need someone to be like, hey, this is this person and this is how you know them.
You have the best workaround to that, though.
Not always, but...
Yeah, because sometimes...
it doesn't work.
Sometimes... So Chia's workaround is whenever she doesn't remember someone's name, she'll be like, how do you spell your name?
I'll do that, or I'll introduce someone by me. So if like Jake doesn't know him, I'll be like, this is my husband Jake. And then they'll shake his hand and be like, oh, I'm so-and-so.
Or if I see the look on her face, whenever she says, this is my husband Jake, and she gives me a look like, I don't know who this is, then I'm like, hey, my name's Jake. What's your name?
Yeah.
Like, I'll try to...
So, let me tell you the worst time this ever happened to me. I might have talked about this. This is so embarrassing. I felt so awful about it.
I bet I have a better one.
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. I walked into work.
Uh-huh.
And, I know yours.
Go ahead, yeah.
And I still feel like mine is worse, but maybe not. I walked into work, and this guy came up to me, and he was like, Chia, how are you? And I was like, oh, my God, how are you? And I knew he looked familiar. But he's in street clothes, and I'm pretty sure he's not someone I've worked with at work before. And so I think he's someone I know through you. So I'm talking to him for a minute. I'm like, how's everything going? He's like, great. I woke up, with all these tubes and everything in me. I was like, oh my God, what happened? And he told me the procedure he had. And I said, oh, and he goes, you knew that. And I said, oh, and he goes, you don't know who I am, do I? And I said, yes, I do. And he goes, what's my name? And I just looked at him and I was like, and he goes, that's all right, Chia. And I was like, no, I know you. And he goes, yeah, that's all right. Good to see you. And I got out to my unit and I start to tell my coworkers. And once I was on my unit, I remembered he was a patient we had for over a month. Super sweet guy. Oh. I would give him his meds 3 to 4 times a week at night. I knew exactly how he wanted to take his meds, at what time he wanted to take like his sleeping pill. I knew exactly what time to go in there. I knew his favorite snacks.
When good bedside manner goes bad.
He's, we were all, there supporting him because he was just going through a lot. I'm not going to say the name. I'm going to make up a different name. And I was like, oh my God.
It was Paul.
Paul! It was Paul! And they're like, what? I'm like, oh my God. And he was walking out of the hospital, and I wanted to be able to run after him and be like, Paul, I know you, I remember you. But he was in street clothes. He was not in a hospital gown, and
Dude,
it just threw me off.
Mine is so worse.
No, I don't know.
Yes.
Like what if that was like the one thing he was like, wow, I really thought I had something. But luckily he had actually already been up to the unit and talked to everyone, and they all remembered him. So I just looked like the jerk.
Well, dude, I did that one time. I
hospital.
walked into True Value one time. It was work. Me and the guy that I was working with walk in, and there's a dude at the counter, and he looks a little familiar, but I don't really know. Like, I see people around a lot, so I don't know. And we go up, and my coworker starts talking to this guy, because I guess they work out at the same gym. Mm-hmm. And I guess they like went out for a few drinks a couple times and kind of developed a little friendship. And he was just like, oh, dude, what's going on, man? How you doing? And the guy turned around and seen him, and he goes, hey, how you doing, man? How you been? And then they have this whole conversation. I'm like looking around. I'm just standing there thinking about the jobs that we have to do that day and everything. And I'm like, all right, whatever. And then I hear the dude again. He goes, how you been, man? And I was like, oh, are we doing that again? Like, you guys are just starting your conversation over? All right. And then he goes, dude, how you been? And I turn and look, and he's looking at me.
Oh.
And I typically do what you did. Mm-hmm. If I don't know you, I'm just like, hey, man, yeah, I'm doing good. What's been new with you? And I try to, like, figure it out as I go. Mm-hmm. But I'm not having it today. It's the morning. You had a conversation with my coworker. I got to get out of here, dude. I don't want to be a jerk, but I also don't care to be nice in this moment.
This might be worse.
So he's looking right at me, and he's like, how you doing? And I looked at him, and I said, dude, I know you, but I don't know how, man. And he goes, are you serious right now? And I was just like, yeah, dude, I know. I'm sorry, man. I'm not even going to lie to you.
This is worse.
I said, I have no idea who you are. And he looks at me and he goes, Dave, your cousin. And I was like, oh my gosh, dude. Oh my God. So like Brent, that was with my coworker, he starts dying laughing. I give Dave like this big hug. It was like, oh my God, dude, I'm so sorry. I was like, dude, I just had a long night last night. And like, I'm thinking all this stuff going on today. I was like, dude, I'm just not even with it. I was like, how you been, dude? And so we like talked for a few minutes. He gives me another really big hug, and he's like, tell your mom I said hi. And I was like, dude, absolutely, love you,
Oh.
And he leaves, and Brent looks at me and he goes, that was your cousin? And I said, I have no idea. I was like, I don't know who that dude was. So I called my mom when we get in the truck, and I was like, who's Dave? She's like, what? And I was like, who's Dave? And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, this dude, like, I just met this dude. And I was like, and he looked familiar, but like, I could not think of the life of me, like, who he was. And then he told me, and I hugged him and was like, yeah, man. And she goes, you don't have a cousin named Dave. And I was like, yes, I do, Mom. Don't you say that. I was like, he was calling me Jake. He said Pam. He asked how he called her Aunt Monagale, which is my grandma. I was like, he was my cousin. Don't you tell. I love that man. Know? So then she was like, oh, David. Oh, yeah. She's like, that's my cousin's son. And then she was like, that's Terry Porter's stepson.
Oh my God.
And then it clicked, because I was like, oh my God, David. Yeah, of course that was David. Of course,
David.
But the thing is that like, so he's the nicest dude, and he's my age, or like a year younger than me or something, and he's always like that. Every time I see him, the same thing always happens. I never remember him, and I do now, like, after that. But, like, he would come to family reunions and, like, hang out with me and like my immediate cousins, because he's, like, a distant cousin. He'd hang out with me and, like, my first cousins that, like, we're tight, like, we're always together and stuff, and he would hang out with us, and then he'd leave, and I'd be like, who was that kid, And they're like, it's Dave!
We told you last time.
It's your cousin Dave, dude, what are you doing?
I have this real big
And by
problem.
the way, I talk to him frequently now. I love Dave. David is my friend. He is my cousin.
Sure.
And I will hug him and know who he is.
I'll probably never see Paul again, and if I do, I really won't remember him because it's been so long. So, again, Paul's not his real name. I have this big issue where if I know you in a certain environment and then I see you outside of that.
It's so weird.
It baffles me. So, like, I've had so many coworkers come up to me outside of work, like at the grocery store or something, and it takes me a minute, and then I'll realize, ooh, I know you from work. I work with you. But then I can't remember your name. But 2 days later, I can see you in your uniform, and I know who you are. Same thing has happened with you. This is why I thought this guy was one of your friends. I have seen friends of yours out and about. They're like, hey, Chia, how are you? How's Jake? Blah, blah. That should have tipped me off when he didn't ask how you were. I should have known it wasn't your friend.
Yeah.
But
I think it was Dave.
But then, then I'm like, okay, I don't know who they are because whatever group they're normally in or whatever place we normally see them, it's not this.
Right, yeah.
And I hate when the kids are with me. They need to figure it out at some point because Jasmine will be like, we'll start walking away and Jasmine will be like, Mom, who's that? And I'm like hitting her like lightly on the side. I'm like, shut up. And we'll get far away. And I'm like, I have no freaking clue who that is, Jasmine. I don't know.
Dude, so my dad was the worst with that.
Yeah.
Well, let me say this first, though. Seeing people out of their normal environment is like whenever you would see a teacher like at the store and it feels weird. Do you remember that time we were at Rule King and we seen a dude, we were looking at like rabbits and chickens and stuff, and there was a guy that kept walking over there. And whenever he first walked over there, he looked at us and kind of like smiled and waved, and we waved back. And I was like, I know that dude from somewhere. And you're like, who is he? And I'm like, I don't know. And you're like, he looks familiar. And I'm like, yeah, he looks so familiar, but like, I feel like he's a teacher. Yeah, it's Dave. I was like, oh, it's Dave. But I was like, no, dude, like he's like a teacher or something. And then like, dude, I was going through every scenario. We were walking around. I was like, was he my old probation officer? Like I was thinking everything. I was like, I feel like he's some sort of like authority figure. I was like, I think he might have been like a judge I had one time or something. I'm like, I don't know, like who is this dude? And it drove me nuts for like days, and I couldn't figure it out. And then we went to a dentist appointment one day, and we went in, and it was our dentist. And it was our dentist. And he was like, yeah, I seen you at Rule King the other day and waved, and you looked very confused. And I was just like, dude, thank you. Thank you so much. I was like, I thought I was having another, like, weird cousin situation. And he's like, what? Yeah. Like, I was like, dude, you didn't have your mask on, and you didn't have those weird, like, glasses things? Yeah. And I was like, yeah, I see you. Also, like, he took his mask off, and I was just like, your teeth are not great. So how can you work on me?
There's a few doctors that if I seen them out in public, I would know. One's Dr. Craig, because Dr. Craig always wore just like a regular collared polo shirt and regular, like, they were nice pants, not, I guess, khakis, those type of
like
pants.
Slacks.
Yeah, slacks. But that's something you would wear out in public or whatever.
Well, normal people, not me.
Well, yeah. And then Dr. Parker's the same way. Sometimes he comes in like that. So we seen him outside of work, and I knew it was Dr. Parker right away because he wasn't dressed too crazily different, you know.
Right, yeah.
But if you are just wearing scrubs or a white coat all the time, and then I see you out, I'm like, who are you?
Well, see, so going back to the thing I said about Dad, like my dad was like that, to where, no joke, we would go, like, we didn't go on vacations or anything like that very often, but we would, occasionally we'd go to like Kings Island or something like, but when I was a teenager, I started working with Dad, and he would like, it was this weird job where we would travel like all over the country pretty much, but the Midwest, we travel all over the Midwest. And repair like the roll-off dumpsters, like the really big dumpsters. So I was kind of like one of those poop guys.
Okay, yeah.
But we would go in and like we would, like weld up holes that were in it. We would sand the whole thing down, repaint it, put new vinyl, like stenciling and stuff, paint new stuff on it. We basically took old roll-off dumpsters and made them brand new again. Okay. And that was our job. And it smelled horrible.
I bet.
Oh my gosh, it was the worst job. Because like trash smells.
It's the worst job. Tell that to the 5-year-old who's working in a coal mine.
Jesus. I would have killed for that job. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, it's one of the worst jobs I had because like garbage smells horrible.
Yeah.
Heat it up.
Yeah.
Once you burn some of that and smell it for a little bit. Yeah. And don't burn it enough to where it like disintegrates and it's gone.
No, you gotta let it sit out in the sun.
Heat it up for a while with a torch and see how it's disgusting. But anyways, we were in Flint, Michigan. And I'm like 16, I think, 15, something like that. We're in Flint, Michigan. And we stop at this we just got done with work. We go to this gas station. We're going to get some food because that's how we ate. That's how I still eat. But we went to this gas station to get some food, and we were going back to the motel. I mean, come on. It's my dad. You kidding me? And there's this dude that walked up to us at the gas station, and he's like, Timmy. And Dad's like, oh, hey, dude, what's going on? And he's just like, how you been? They had like a half-hour conversation, talk about all kinds of stuff. And the dude's like, man, it was so good to see you. I can't believe I haven't seen you for years. And everything's like, well, have a great day. And I was like, dude, who was that? And he goes, I have no idea. Like, he had no clue
but
who this dude was.
But he called him Timmy, so
the
apparently he felt
because only Dad's like
him.
Closest friends called him Timmy.
Yeah.
Like, Dad was Tim. He does not like being called Timmy.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, same thing.
Well, that's all I got for us.
All right. Well, thank you so much for tuning in to this episode. Sorry we didn't put a lot of the bumper music in or anything like that, but we were just kind of
just going with it.
We're going with it. So thank you so much. Hopefully I see you guys at a show soon. Again, check us out on Facebook, Jake and She Rubles Blessed Ones. I'm trying to build up also my TikTok and Instagram. It's not going very great right now. My Facebook's doing great, but the other one's not. But it's at Indiana Ruble, so follow me on there. All of that stuff. Thank you guys. We really do appreciate it. Again, our Patreon is patreon.com/laughandbeblessed. We are going to do the thing to see like what horror movie we should do our commentary on soon. I do still want to do the music video thing. I want to do the thing where we watch a music video and do a commentary on that.
Yeah.
This was just kind of like, it's Jake and Shia. We're not together.
No.
We're together.
I mean, we're together with each other.
But we don't got it
together. No,
yeah.
we don't have it together.
So, love you guys. Have a great week. If it ends up being kind of rough and you don't know what to do, just take a moment, sit back, relax, and
laugh and be blessed.